Hey, I'm Geeky Pastimes, and in today's video I wanted to talk about different ways that Treyarch could improve Vanguard Zombies, and I mean before they release another map, before they release the Easter egg or anything like that. I'm trying to think of things they could do relatively quickly that would make the experience more fun. Yesterday I did a video that did quite well where I was just moaning about the mode for like 16 minutes, and I hate being that negative all the time. I hate just complaining about stuff. I think there's enough of that on the internet, so I wanted to do something a bit more constructive. Now, a few disclaimers to get out of the way first. I'm not a developer, I've never made a game, I have no idea how complicated some of these things are to do. I understand that there's some things that sound very easy to do that definitely aren't, so I completely appreciate that some of these things are probably incredibly difficult for reasons that I don't understand. But they're hopefully things that people would enjoy or would give people more reasons to play the mode and more reasons to get invested in it. That's what I'm going for with this. If you like the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments below, what changes would you like to see them make? I'm not talking about, like I said, not a new map, not adding the Easter egg and stuff like that. I know we would all like that kind of stuff, but what sort of smaller tweaks could they make that you think would make the game better? So I've got 6 of them here. I might think of some more as we're going, but we'll see how we get on. So number 1, I would like them to add a round-based mode in Stalingrad. Now this is something that I think I've heard Syndicate talking about quite a lot when he was streaming yesterday. I get that it's something like they were trying to do something different, and I made a video when they announced the changes saying like, yeah, I'm really excited about this. I'm excited they're moving away from round base because it could be really cool. But I think it's safe to say it just hasn't really worked, or at least it hasn't worked for a lot of people. I know there's some people who have been really enjoying it. I know Greg FPS has been saying he's been enjoying it a lot. There's a couple of people on my Discord who have been having a good time with it, but there's a lot of us who I think would, at least as a stopgap, enjoy a round base mode more. So if they just had Stalingrad, took out the portals entirely, maybe just replaced them with barricades that you can buy like in normal things, had zombies pouring in, it would give people something to do that's kind of more of what they're used to. So just having normal round progression. They don't really need to change the map other than adding the barricades, and just have it as a separate mode. So keep the current mode, whatever you want to call it, the Anfang mode, and then also have like a zombies classic where they just have a round base sort of survival thing, just so it's like something that people who prefer playing in that way can play that instead without having to worry about the portals and the objectives and all of that kind of stuff. You'd also probably take out the Covenant, so you'd also take out all of the hearts and everything like that. I think that's absolutely fine. It would make it more challenging maybe, but you know, that's fine. That could still be a lot of fun. Now the second thing that I think they could change is for them to add more unusual perks. So when they announced the perks with the Covenant, I thought it was going to be really cool. I thought it was going to be something like Hades where you've got loads and loads of different things and it's completely random what you're going to get, and you can kind of build these crazy characters with amazing powers and find these like overpowered combinations and stuff like that. You can't really, because there's only like 11 different perks, and a lot of them are just things like the ammo types that we already had before, or things that were taken out of the perks that we would normally have in Black Ops Cold War. You know, the extra effects you got from upgrading them. So it ends up, at least in the time that I've played, which admittedly I haven't played this very much because I didn't like it very much, I was already seeing the same things going on again and again. So by the time I was getting to like round 11, I was already seeing the same perks coming up. And obviously you get slightly more powerful versions of them, but often the more powerful version does the same thing just with a higher percentage. So there's less opportunity for these crazy combinations. Instead, you're just kind of getting similar things over and over again, and none of them are that interesting or that new. None of them really changed the way I was playing the game, which I think is a big shame. So it'd be really cool if they added some, and I thought they could add some, maybe a special category of them that have upsides and downsides. So these don't have any kind of visual element to them. They don't have something that needs to be kind of special effects that have to be coded in or anything like that. I'm hoping these would be quite easy because they're still using statistic things, but I was thinking things like you do 50% extra damage to zombies, but you also take 50% extra damage, so like a glass cannon style perk, which makes you a lot more dangerous to the zombies, but also you can take a lot less hits. That could be kind of cool. Or something where being near teammates buffs you with like maybe extra health or movement speed or something like that, but being away from them reduces it. So the idea of like focusing on you being near your teammates, that could be a cool thing. So if like 4 people had it all together, like in Destiny 2 there's a gun called Rat King that does more damage if you're near someone else who's also using Rat King. I think things like that are quite cool because they might make you sort of change up your tactics a bit. They might make you change the way you play, and that could be a lot of fun. So just things like that where there's still statistics changes, but things that encourage you to maybe maybe play a little bit differently, things that have a bit of a risk reward in them, that might make it a bit more interesting to get them. But I think the main thing they need is just more of them. They need a higher number of perks. Now, another thing is a new enemy type. Now, this is probably the most unrealistic thing out of all the things I'm going to say. This is the thing that I think would probably require the most work and the most changes to the game. But having 3 types of enemies in the game is really, really boring. Like, it gets boring very quickly. And each of the enemies aren't interesting. So you've got like normal zombies, you've got the fire zombies, which we already had in Black Ops Cold War, that just run towards you and explode in a really similar way to what the fire dogs have done for a long while. And then you've got the big guys with the miniguns who just sort of stand there and shoot at you and take a lot of hits. Like, none of them are as interesting as the Megaton was. Like, that was much cooler. None of them are even as interesting as like the plague hounds were, because at least you could shoot them and then they'd damage the zombies around them and stuff like that with the gas clouds. Stuff like that was kind of cool. I'd really like to see them adding some new stuff in, even if that meant them taking some stuff over from Black Ops Cold War, like maybe bringing the Tempests back or something like that, or the Mimics or something. Just if it's, it's still Treyarch doing this, if there was some way to add more enemy types in, I think that would go a long way to making the games a little bit more interesting, especially if they were something like the Mimic that actually like changed the way you played a little bit, or gave you a little bit of a jump, or gave like little moments in a game. I think that's the thing that this Zombies mode is really missing. Moments, like memorable things that happen, because it all just feels very monotone at the moment. The fourth thing I think they could do is add some crazy Dark Ops challenges. As far as I know, there's no Dark Ops challenges in this at all yet. That's something that when Black Ops Cold War first came out with zombies, and we only had D Machine, like that was the only thing. We didn't have Outbreak or any of the other maps or anything. The thing that kept me playing that for a little bit longer was having some of those Dark Ops challenges where it's like, okay, can you, extract after level 20 only using melee or something like that? Or can you go for so long without ever getting hit? Or can you try and get like everything upgraded all at once or something like that? Just some things that give people like a reason to play, like something to work towards, an objective. And if you had some really crazy ones that were really, really hard, that might be fun, because that'll add a bit more replayability as people try to do those sorts of things. On that note, this isn't one of the numbered ones, but I've just thought of it. Bring the Rampage Inducer back as well, because those first few rounds are kind of slow. Maybe do something like, if not the Rampage Inducer, maybe something like how in Outbreak, you could do the first objective and then destroy the teleporter, and that would skip a couple of rounds. Maybe they could do something like that, so you could get going a bit quicker, like get up to like round 8 or 9 a bit faster, like twice the speed, because then you wouldn't have that really slow setup thing. That would be cool too. That was a little bonus one for you. Then the fifth one, increase the early spawns in the Stalingrad area. At the moment in the Stalingrad area, for the first like 10 rounds, there's basically nothing going on in Stalingrad. Like, you get a handful of zombies. By the time you have opened up all of the different portals, the zombies are all spawning right at the edge of the map anyway, so you never see them in the middle bit unless you actually go out looking for them, because they just sort of seem to stand around. A lot of the time they don't even come looking for you, and that seems like a real shame, that there's like a lot of the time in the Stalingrad area there's just nothing really going on, and that's like half of the game. So I think it would be really nice if they had more steady spawns going on in Stalingrad. Maybe don't have any for like the first 2 rounds, and then start having like just steady spawns quite close to where the action is, more stuff happening. That would be really cool. I know sometimes zombies spawn in the middle, but that seems like really hit and miss as to like how often they do it and how many. I just think that needs to be tuned up a little bit to make the Stalingrad area a little bit more threatening. Because in the reveal trailer and the sort of like documentary type thing they did talk about Stalingrad being a little bit scary and being a bit like of a dangerous place to be. But at the moment it doesn't feel like it. It feels surprisingly safe. Then number 6, my last one for this video, is have the mystery box move around. This seems like such a stupid thing. I never would have thought that I would care about, but having a mystery box always in the same place makes it a little bit less interesting, because essentially when you're in a Stalingrad area, you're always just going to stay in that main square. You'll run out to get a perk quickly, but that's about it. When you're using the mystery box, you actually have to hang around with it, because you wait for it to rotate, and then you're trying to get things you want and dropping things on the floor and stuff like that. That means it creates like a little play space where you're trying to keep it clear of zombies. That would be a bit more interesting if it moved around to the different areas, it moved around to the different parts that you unlock, and it would give you a reason to go to those areas and actually like interact with them and do some fighting over there. I think that would make it a little bit more interesting, so that would be good. So those are 6 things that I think hopefully maybe like they could change early, like within the next month or so before they do the roadmap, just to try and give this zombies mode a bit more of a leg up. Now this is me trying to give some constructive feedback. This is me trying to be like a little bit constructive with it. So in the comments, let me know if you have ideas of things that you think they could do to make zombies better, to make zombies more interesting, to make it more fun for you. And like I said, I understand there's some people who are already enjoying it, and I'm really happy for you. I'm really happy that there are people who are already liking it. I'm not saying like, oh, this whole thing's a disaster and they should just scrap it all. I'm just trying to think of things that they could do that wouldn't require, hopefully, you know, my absolutely amateur opinion, wouldn't require too much work or effort, that would make it more interesting. So let me know what you think in the comments. Leave a like if you did like, a dislike if you didn't, and make sure you subscribe and turn your notifications on for more Call of Duty stuff. I'm going to be streaming a load of multiplayer today. I'm going to try and finish the campaign, I think, and I'm also going to be streaming stuff and making videos for things like Forza Horizon. We've got Battlefield coming next week, Halo coming soon, loads of good stuff coming up. So make sure you subscribe and turn those notifications on.